31 Days of Horror with Mark.
Good evening and welcome to 31 Days of Horror with Mark, starting obviously a little bit later this year. The reason I haven't kind of done any kind of videos is that we a friend of mine and I done like a Lost kind of like retrospective greatest hits thing. It was a long haul. It was like two and a half hours that we were kind of talking about Lost. How can anybody talk about Lost for 2.5 hours more? Well, we did, and we very much enjoyed it as well. So that's why I've been a little bit kind of more sporadic in terms of video content this year. Though that is, when I kind of posted the thing up, like I expect many people to be like chapping at the bit, going, "Oh, where's our 31 days of horror content, Mark?" Yeah. So what I'm going to kind of do is I'm going to do a little bit of a roundup of the newer films that I watched this year. I might kind of mention the other ones as well. Yeah. So I'll just kick right off. So on day one, I watched 3 films, but the new one that, well, I say new, one that I hadn't seen before was the 1943 Phantom of the Opera film. So for any of you guys that have been kind of like following like my posts and stuff like that when I've done this since 2016, 5th year anniversary as well. Well done, man. But for those of you that kind of follow, I've tried to start each year with one of the films from the Universal Monster Movie box set, which means that it's definitely getting its use kind of thing, because it's the first thing I kind of go to when I start these. So I grabbed Phantom of the Opera because the only other one left in the box set that I haven't seen is Bride of Frankenstein, and I was thinking what I'll probably kind of do with that is I'll probably do like a double, whether or not I do that as this progresses or next year, like then I'll kind of see how I feel. So I went for Phantom of the Opera, and despite the fact that it's in like almost kind of big bold type and everything, I actually didn't realise until it started that it was very much in colour. So the other ones in the box set are black and white, which I'm totally fine with. I actually kind of think that it totally adds to the aesthetic of the kind of the older films, so I have no issue with them being black and white, and they could get away with kind of stuff like kind of darker and dingier, and it just kind of like fits. But this was colour. Like it was just kind of like it was just kind of bright. It was vibrant. Just outright. So like that was a little bit taken aback with just almost kind of straight away. I was like, what the heck is going on here? So yeah, I kind of watched that. Very, very kind of slow burning, very kind of subtle. There's a shitload of opera in it. Now I realised how that sounds because it's the Phantom of the Opera, but yeah, like there was a lot more kind of opera than I was expecting to be in it. I expected there to be some opera, but there was like genuine kind of like long scenes of kind of like opera music and like people performing opera and stuff. And so it kind of seemed to me that despite the fact that it's in the Universal Monsters box set and it's like it's linked in with the kind of horror genre and stuff like that, it seemed to me that it was trying more to be kind of like a big kind of Oscar type kind of film, and like at least like from like that kind of golden age kind of thing back in the day and stuff like that. So that's kind of what was getting. Makeup effects on the Phantom were really cool. It says it's quite subtle. Like there's obviously we had been like back in the 40s, so it's 1943. There's not an awful lot of kind of like straight up kind of like hardcore murder being kind of done in front of you, because obviously sensibilities of the time, but it doesn't make it any less kind of like when he does start his kind of rampage. So yeah, Phantom of the Opera I enjoyed. I didn't really kind of mind that there was that much opera, but as I say, it kind of threw me for a little bit. The other 2 films I watched that night were the 2001, 2002, I think it is, 13 Ghosts with Matthew Lillard and Tony Shalhoub and stuff like that. Trash beyond all reason, but it's one of these films that like I just kind of really enjoy. Like I don't really kind of mind it. It's kind of like so many people are like ham-fisting the shit out, like proper hammy acting. Lillard especially is just kind of, but like it's really enjoyable kind of ham acting kind of thing. So yeah, I really kind of like that. And there's actually kind of relatively kind of decent references to William Castle's kind of like 13 Ghosts, because like in order to see the ghost they have to kind of put on these glasses, and that was like a gimmick that he done back in the day, so I really like that. I also watched again, I'll not kind of go into too much to this, but I think I do really want to kind of like mention this, Brightburn, which got so much flack, like it got torn to shreds when it kind of came out, like absolutely kind of ripped a new one. I really like it. If I remember how to speak English, I really like it. For anybody that doesn't know, it's a retelling of the Superman origin. But instead of like it being like red, white, and blue and true like hero nice guy, which I know that don't know people of. It's like Superman, Clark Kent, like he's just this like paragon of virtue and what have you. Obviously, the guy in kind of Brightburn, Brandon, is a little bastard. It's probably the easiest way to describe it. And so, like, as these kind of powers develop, it gets fucking grim. But yeah, like I kind of liked how it was that skewed take on the kind of Superman. Like obviously they've actually sat down and like really kind of thought about it. Like a lot of it kind of plays like the Superman kind of like origin, kind of like beat for beat, like the ship lands. There's bits where like the mum played by Elizabeth Banks is kind of like, you were a gift, we tried so long to have a chat, and it's kind of like it mirrors that kind of Superman thing. So I really like it. It's just, as I say, it's just hardcore violent. So I wanted to kind of mention that because I know that it gets a lot of flack and I don't really understand why it does. But yeah. So then on day 2, I watched again. So I watched the Dawn of the Dead 2004 remake. I think I've talked about that before, so I'll probably want to kind of go into it again. And also I watched the 2021 Wrong Turn remake. So I only kind of seen the original really recently, despite the fact it was actually out in the cinema when I was actually kind of working there at the time. I never managed to actually kind of catch it. I was genuinely surprised at how much I enjoyed the original. It's very fucking tense at points. There's like a scene where like the group are in a cabin and like the hill folk have come in and like they're just trying desperately not to make any noise, and it's tense as balls. So I actually quite liked the original one. I've not watched any of the other franchise because it tends to be that kind of thing whereby most, if not all, of the kind of preceding films tend to be a bit guff. You might get that wee kind of that wee gem in there somewhere, but like it's very rare that a franchise, a horror franchise specifically, kind of tops the first film. So but just kind of getting on to this. So I decided to kind of watch the Wrong Turn remake, and I was genuinely surprised at how much I really enjoyed this. I didn't think it was going to be guff. I think I was just kind of surprised at the kind of like the direction they kind of took. So I don't really want to kind of say too much because I think if you haven't seen it, you should get a bash. It's quite kind of grim, I'm not going to lie. It's not exactly like a happy-go-lucky romp, but it does a lot to subvert general kind of cliches and stuff like that. And there's a lot of kind of stuff, that like they start kind of playing like that. Oh my god, I don't have phone signal and stuff. Like all this kind of stuff that kind of plays it initially, or like, oh my god, I can't find my phone. And like, stuff like that, and you're just kind of like, kind of thing. But it genuinely, it kind of plays the antagonists not quite the way you would really kind of expect, and that's as much as I really want to kind of go in there. As I say, it's not exactly for the faint of heart. So if you've got any kind of predilections towards any kind of like violence or anything like that at all, you're probably best to get a miss. But if you want to kind of see something that is a lot different and kind of plays with the tropes quite well, I'd say give Wrong Turn 2021 a blast. So yeah. Day 3, done like a triple, and these were all films I hadn't seen. So back in July on Netflix, they released the Fear Street trilogy. So Fear Street 1994, Fear Street 1978, and Fear Street 1666, which are based off a series of R.L. Stine books. Now, R.L. Stine was kind of famous for the Goosebumps books and stuff like that. So like Goosebumps was this, like it was kind of almost kid-based horror, because like around about the time I was kind of growing up, there was Goosebumps, there was point horror books as well. So point horror was kind of more aimed at the teenagers of the time kind of thing. And I think what happened is R.L. Stine had done his kind of version of point horror called Fear Street. So there was a series of kind of like books, and like there were, as again, like the point horror books, it was like, for example, there was one called The Claw and Homecoming Queen. So they were all, I think they were all set around about kind of high school and stuff like that. Like I read my fair share back in the day, and I've got a bit of affinity for them. So when I first seen this kind of come up, it's like, so first of all, when it said R.L. Stine, I was like, right, okay, this is going to be kind of like the Goosebumps film. And don't get me wrong, I genuinely enjoyed the Goosebumps film with Jack Black and everything. I thought it was a very kind of like a very 90s take on like a kind of like on a kind of like kids horror film type thing, which obviously makes a lot of sense because like the Goosebumps books were around about that time. So that's kind of what I was expecting with this. Fucking hell, gratuitously violent. I had no fucking idea what I was getting into. It was like, so all three of them, as far as I can tell, are 18s, and like they earn that 18 rating, because I was kind of wondering, it was like, and I was like, 18 really for films by the Goosebumps guy? Are you joking? And like, I'm going to apologise. So if R.L. Stine is actually a lady, I'm going to apologise wholeheartedly. As far as I know, it's a bloke, and I'll do some fact checking after this to kind of like to confirm whether or no I'm right or no. But yeah, so and so it was just like 18, all right, okay, and yeah, I was just like, wow. So like, again, I don't really want to kind of go into too much with regard to this, because I think the best thing about these films, so like I saw that they come out, and I like the fact that in July what they'd done on Netflix is they released them one week after the other, and I did genuinely think about just watching them then. But I kind of like how I actually kind of like the fact that I kind of held back, and I decided to actually kind of watch them closer to like now, because obviously it definitely gave me some ammunition to watch, and Yvonne kind of watched them with me, and she really we both really enjoyed them. So again, I'm not going to go into too much depth, because I'd really rather know. What I'll do is I'll kind of talk about some elements that I genuinely kind of quite liked about it. So each of the kind of films are very kind of representative of the kind of the time period that they're trying to kind of emulate. Obviously 1666 needs to take some liberties, because they didn't kind of film like stuff back in 1666. But for example, Fear Street 1994 is the one that starts with. There is a lot of kind of like 90s reference. Like the opening is a clear homage to Scream. Like the outfit that the person's wearing and everything is like, is this like, it's almost as if it's just like, you know, by the way guys, nudge nudge, wink wink, it's Scream. That kind of has a little bit of a double-edged sword in that in their kind of quest to basically go, guys, you're watching a film from the 90s kind of thing. They overdo the music in the first one, especially. So like, there's a particular scene in which somebody's kind of talking to like a receptionist, and Your Woman by Whitetown comes on. And it is like, literally, it's on for like you'd be lucky if it's 30 seconds, 20 seconds worth of kind of music, just to kind of introduce this character, and then it turns off. And there is a lot of that in the first one. That's one of my biggest kind of gripes. It seems to calm down a lot in the second. There's still 70s track, but there's like a main track that they kind of they kind of use, and I'm kind of fine with the track that they kind of use. And again, I'll not say too much. And then in 1666, obviously, it's very kind of like, you know, oh, how art thou, and well, more kind of Middle English, New English, sorry, kind of like, you know, the witch kind of level where they are kind of thing. That kind of like ye old like townscape. So yeah, so like basically like it's it's almost, it's like a horror mystery played out over three three films, and each of the films, it says, like the first one is like kind of rampant with kind of like 90s references. The second one set in a summer camp, and there's like definite kind of homages to and Friday the 13th, although I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong with it, I'm pretty sure Friday the 13th was the 80s, but like you kind of give it like that kind of, you give it a wee bit of a pass because it's obviously, it's quite close to the 80s, and you know what they're kind of trying to do. They're obviously like, they're like, hey guys, it's like this is your kind of like killer and stuff. And so I kind of like how it's kind of established with the killers. Again, I'm not gonna go too much into it. And I like how the kind of the mystery plays out through the entire kind of like film like franchise. It kind of reeked of, like, I think if this had maybe kind of been made a while back, it would have probably been smushed into one film, maybe about kind of 2 hours max, and then you would have got snippets from either kind of thing. And I'm kind of glad they kind of played them out, so they're each about maybe about 100 minutes a piece. With the last one being the kind of longest one, and it, like, I like the fact that it slow teases like all the reveals and stuff like that. So yeah, if you haven't kind of watched them, totally recommend. Go in as blind as you possibly can, just to kind of advise as well. At the end of each of the films, there is like a, you know, next time on Fear Street, like, you know, like you would expect in a TV show kind of thing. So if you didn't want the, like, any of the next film spoiled, like I would kind of like skip it. But the lead is really good. I'm really kind of sorry I don't know her name off the top of my head. Sadie Sink is really kind of good. The last that was in Stranger Things. And Gillian Jacobs is in it as well. But like the cast, like I think it's Lucas or Luke that play the character of the little brother in the first one. He's really, really good. He's kind of like, you know, like Yvonne kind of like advises quite succinctly. So in the It remake for 2017, the character Ben has kind of got like this wall of all these kind of like, you know, clippings and stuff, and it's like, oh, by the way, the like this happened and like Pennywise done this. And so like Luke or Lucas, again, I apologize if I'm totally kind of misreading the name or whatever. He's like so it's the little brother of the kind of main character, and he's really kind of, he's really kind of funny. He's kind of like, he's very kind of knowledgeable, and you kind of root for him and stuff like that. As it says, gory as fuck. Like I use the word fuck because it is like, it's properly gratuitous at points, which is fine by me. I don't really get a mind. In fact, like I welcomed it because it was like, oh, okay, then is this what we're getting into? So yeah, Fear Street, 1994, 1978, and 1666. I would probably recommend, if you're up for it, watch them back to back. So good laugh. Day 4 only managed kind of one film on the day, but again, it was a new one. So that was Little Monsters, which I think came out in 20-something, which stars, and again, I'm really, really sorry if I actually kind of like mispronounce this, but Lupita Nyong'o. If I've mispronounced it, I'm really sorry. But the last, it's like in Us, and stuff like relatively kind of like awesome newcomer, and she stars as like a preschool, but no, like nursery, kindergarten type teacher kind of thing, or like I think, or it's like very kind of low primary, but like she's the teacher, and she's not the main character. There's a guy, so there's an Australian bloke called, his like real name's Alexander England. He's the lead, and then it's got Josh Gad in it as well for like musical stuff, and the thing I know him for the most recently is Central Park. But yeah, so basically it's a zombie outbreak when they kind of go to this little kind of farm in Australia, but it's straight up comedy, and it is hilarious, like genuine, like points where like I was in pain laughing. There's a double hit joke whereby one joke kind of hits, and then immediately after, probably like two bit, so I'm busy laughing at this first joke, and then seconds later the second one just kind of like hit me as well, and so like I was laughing my ass off. So so they end up, so he's this kind of really inept kind of like douchebag like shows his kind of like so it's his nephew's at the school, and he kind of goes along to chaperone this kind of this trip. And so he's this, like, as I say, he's a really inept douchebag. He lets his kind of nephew kind of play like violent, like COD type zombie games and stuff, and his mum's like, what the shit are you doing? And you're just this like irresponsible asshole and stuff. And so like the film's obviously like, you know, it's this kind of redemption kind of thing, and whether or not he can actually kind of step up. And like they play with it quite well. Josh Gad plays this kind of like this kids presenter called I think it's Teddy Gigglesworth or something like that, and he's like this you're like, hi kids kind of thing. But then when everything goes to shit, he turns into an absolute asshole, and it's just like, yeah, like he's really kind of good, just this kind of absolute scumbag of the highest caliber. And Olivia Newton-John, again, absolutely kind of brilliant in it as well. I think this might have been one of the first things she was in, so she does actually get top billing, despite the fact that it's quite clear that Alexander England is actually the main character kind of thing. But so, which is a bit of a shame, but it's quite clear that it's been made in Australia and stuff like that. But yeah, totally worth a bash. It's really funny, quite gory at points. I mean, it's only a 15, so it's not like too kind of brutal, but like yeah, like just bits with the zombies again are really kind of funny. But yeah, Little Monsters definitely kind of worth a bash as well. Moving on to, I believe, day 5. So again, I watched another double. So first of it, so I started with American Werewolf in London. I think like all the days are kind of bleeding into one, which again, not going to talk about. Talked about before. Love the film. Best werewolf film as far as I'm concerned. Answers on a postcard if you actually kind of like feel otherwise. But the my second film of the evening was Willy's Wonderland. So the Nicolas Cage starring batshit film in which he is essentially recruited to kind of clean up this kind of kids version. Like, so I know in America they've got like something called, like, it's called Chuck E. Cheese, which is this kind of thing where like kids go to and there's these animatronic creatures and stuff like that, and like, you know, like like playing kind of banjos and what have you. I think there's probably other variations as well, so it's obviously it's a take on that. But all the animatronic kind of characters are vicious, murderous psychopaths. So it's basically, it kind of plays it whereby he just effectively like spends the night there cleaning up. He's kind of tricked into kind of cleaning this place up, and proceeds to kind of like beat the living shit out of everything. It's exactly as mental as you might kind of think. Nicolas Cage has obviously got this kind of like punch out, especially at the moment, for doing kind of like really kind of out there kind of stuff. I know that Pig isn't a kind of horror film, but again, it's like it's something that's quite kind of out there kind of thing. But Mandy fucking hell, like absolute kind of blast. But again, like just this kind of completely and utterly batshit over the top horror. This is batshit, but kind of more kind of tongue in cheek batshit. So you're kind of like, you're okay, fair enough. And then Colour Out of Space, which I've yet to see as well, but I know that that's kind of, it's Lovecraftian and it's kind of weird. So yeah, again, kind of got exactly what I was expecting. Over the top Nicolas Cage, kind of like just beating the shit out of kind of like, you know, cute and cuddly looking type creatures for at least for a few moments and stuff. Violence again, fairly gratuitous as well. Despite the fact it was a 15, it was actually quite kind of dark and grim and what have you. So yeah. Day 6, I didn't actually gonna manage to watch anything new because I went to see the new Bond film, which I'm not going to talk about because it's not horror. But I did watch Rec, or Record, or whatever you want to kind of call it. So the Spanish kind of horror film for 2007 about so it's like the found footage outbreak in like an apartment building in Spain. So again, for anybody that hasn't kind of seen it, I'm going to talk a wee bit about it because it's been ages since I've seen it. It's exactly that. So it starts off and it is like we're following this kind of like TV crew, and they film this kind of show called While You Were Asleep, which is essentially kind of following people whilst like normal people are kind of in their bed and what have you. So they're following a fire crew, and a fire crew get kind of called out to this kind of house and this kind of apartment building. And then all kind of hell breaks loose. So it is effectively like a zombie outbreak kind of kicks off and stuff like that. And so like we're were with the kind of characters, like pretty much like from start to finish. It's so well filmed. There is a lot of it that is done in single takes. So long choreographed kind of like bits where like, you know, they're running up the stairs. There's bits where obviously like I know that they've probably cut there, but there's a lot that's obviously been done in kind of one continuous kind of take. So that's really kind of impressive. The lead actress, despite the fact that like she loses her shit quite a bit, doesn't come off as kind of like, you know, like you're just like, oh my god, like one of these kind of like screaming kind of final girls that you're just like, oh my god, like come on now. So she's like she's quite she's got quite a good personality, and she's very engaging. And when shit goes to shit, like, you know, you kind of like even when she's kind of gone mental at folks, you're just kind of like, you know what, I kind of get it. Yeah, no, like, yeah, go ape shit at people. So yeah, totally kind of get that. But yeah, it's also got like one of my favorite kind of explanations for a kind of zombie flick. I really kind of like where they kind of go with it. Again, obviously, for some reason, if you haven't kind of seen it, I won't kind of elaborate too much. But I really kind of like what they kind of do with the kind of the zombie genre. I thought it was a really interesting idea. So yeah, so that was Wreck. Not that long a film. Like if obviously subtitles, meh. Then he'd be a dick and just kind of watch it. But like it's like 75 minutes, so it's like it's not too like it's not too kind of like far out your way kind of thing. And that leads me to day 7, which was yesterday. And so I watched a film called Dementor. So Dementor is by a guy called Chad Crawford Kinkle. Relative, potentially quite unknown, but like he done a film called Jugface, which I managed to kind of see way back when I first kind of attended Dead by Dawn. Excuse me. Sorry. So Dead by Dawn is a horror film festival that usually kind of like happens in around about April time. Effectively, it is from the Thursday night to the Sunday night. It's essentially continuous horror film. So you get one film usually on the Thursday night, and then all day Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. It's like continuous horror films. And then there is usually on the Saturday night, there's like an all-nighter kind of thing as well. So it's a long haul, but it is great fun. I've been to it. I think I've been to the full whack at least, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 times. It might have only been twice, but yeah, I've definitely done it more than once, and it is definitely a good kind of shout. So Jugface was a really kind of odd film, quite a slow burner, but again, quite interesting. I remember probably not rating it as high at the time, but like when I saw that he'd kind of done another film, I was like, you know what, quite willing to actually kind of like give this next one a bash. So so I watched Dementor last night, and so Dementor is it's obviously, I'd said in my little Instagram post, but it's obviously almost from the outset that it's a very kind of personal film, because one of the kind of characters in the film is actually played by his sister, who is a lady with Down syndrome, and so he effectively kind of sets a lot of the kind of film in and around this kind of day center with individuals with kind of similar disabilities and what have you, and it's like. It's almost kind of, it's like, and they kind of mention this in the making of, but it's almost as if that's kind of like documentary type thing. And so what they've kind of done is, so he's kind of wrote the script around this kind of thing. So like, there's a lot of kind of scenes that are actually kind of in, like in this kind of like day center kind of thing, all these kind of characters, and a lot of the kind of stuff's like not so much ad lib, but very kind of loosely scripted kind of thing. So the main focus of the film is a lady by the name of Katie. Katie has come from a very kind of disturbed background in which she's kind of effectively escaped a cult, and she's trying to kind of like put back the pieces of her life, and you know, kind of like just kind of like bring a sense of normality back to herself, kind of thing. It's essentially escape that bullshit in her past. So she kind of she gets involved with this kind of day center, and she gets very kind of close to Stephanie, which is the kind of sister that was kind of mentioning before. But she's kind of noticing that the sister, so like not the sister, but like the character Stephanie, she's starting to kind of quite get quite sick, and she said she's kind of recognizing these things, so she starts kind of using these kind of methods from the cult to try and kind of like to effectively to try and kind of help her kind of thing. So it kind of plays it. So during this kind of redemptive arc, she's trying to kind of do good. She's trying to kind of help. She's actually really kind of concerned for this kind of this young lady kind of thing, because like she even kind of says at one point, I'm not gonna let them get you too kind of thing. So she's trying her kind of best and everything. So I'd be lying if I didn't say it was very kind of artsy at points, but it's one of these kind of like things. So you see a lot of kind of indie kind of horror films, and you kind of watch it when it ends, you're just like, fucking what kind of thing. Like there's definitely kind of ones in there like I don't know if Mother counts, but like that kind of level, you kind of by the time the film ends, you're just like, what the fuck did I just sit through? So there's definitely elements of that. But the difference with this, more than any other kind of film like that I've actually ever kind of watched, is I was properly hooked. Like I was genuinely like, I was intrigued right to the start. Like usually if it does get really fucking like, what the fuck, like what am I watching here? Like if it gets too much like that, usually for me, I tend to tune out and just kind of like no give a rat's ass. But for this, like I stayed kind of like I'm in this for the long haul, and I think that is genuinely kind of due in part to how it's been kind of like how the story's played out. Because like again they mentioned this kind of making of, because I watched the making of afterwards as well, that is genuinely like almost kind of like watching two separate films. You're kind of watching this kind of almost documentary type kind of thing, which is loosely scripted, coupled with like this kind of like this ensemble kind of batshit fucked up devilry, cult type imagery kind of thing, just kind of spliced every once in a while in. But again, like I genuinely, like as I say, it's hooked start to finish. I was properly kind of like I was in it start to finish. So I genuinely kind of liked it. I wasn't 100% that I was gonna, which is quite bold, because I actually kind of just outright kind of bought the film as well. So I was just like, but worst case scenario, I would have obviously kind of passed it on to a charity shop or whatever. But yeah, I genuinely enjoyed it. It sucked me in, and it kept me kind of like, glued in. So yeah, so that's it. A little bit of a kind of roundup, rather than doing the daily videos. I hopefully will kind of start to pick up daily videos a wee bit more. The only thing we kind of do in daily videos is it seems to kind of limit what I can kind of watch. And I do like doing like a little bit of a kind of blitz. I do actually kind of like watching a few films. So as I said, first night I watched kind of 3. So by I think the time that the Monday had hit, I'd already watched 8 films. So I was really kind of happy about that. So I'll try and kind of watch a couple tonight. If I watch obviously anything new, I'll try and kind of keep these videos going. If you enjoyed it, or if you got any other suggestions you want me kind of give a bash, I've got like a laundry list of kind of suggestions and stuff to kind of get through, either films that I've kind of had since last year, or films that I've kind of that I've got for like birthday and Christmas, like Little Monsters and Willy's Wonderland, for example. I'm pretty sure I got from my birthday earlier on this year, so like I'm kind of glad that I kind of held them back. I've got like a film called The Stylist to watch, which is like about a lass that scalps people. Looks quite interesting. I've got Freaky, which is the kind of Freaky Friday body swap thing with Vince Vaughn. But it's for the guy that kind of directed Happy Death Day, and I think he directed the sequel as well. So I might kind of do like a triple with him, one Happy Death Day 1 and 2, because I've not seen 2 yet, and Freaky as well. I've got Children of the Corn trilogy. I've got the Urban Legend trilogy, and my marathon this year is going to be the Paranormal Activity kind of film. So I've got all them effectively ready to go as well. So I'll definitely do a video for the Paranormal Activity films. But like I said, for anything new, I'll try and kind of do that. So obviously, guys, thank you very much for watching. As it says, send me kind of any suggestions. I'm quite happy to get anything a bash on my end, within reason. Craig and Jessica, if you guys are kind of watching this, I'm really kind of sorry. I don't think I've been able to find your films. 29 Needles, I can't seem to find anywhere, and I'm very kind of like picky about trying to kind of like obtain like films like via bad means. And I think the other I can't really kind of remember. I think Found and Headless were the 2 ones that Jessica suggested as well. I don't think I can find those either, but like I'll try my best. But Mr. Donnelly suggested Phantasm, and I know Stacey's really kind of good for essentially kind of name dropping a shitload. Usually ones I've kind of seen, although there's one on there I think called My Soul to Take, which I don't think I've actually seen before, so I might try and kind of dig that and give that a wee bash as well. Obviously, if I did watch your films, guys, didn't take it personally. It's just I have a shitload to watch, and I do like to kind of intermingle with kind of like classics as well. My two obviously go-to classics that I usually watch, Christine and American Werewolf in London, have already been watched, so I mean that might just kind of open up the floodgates for anything new as well. Guys, once more, thank you very much if you're kind of watching, and hopefully talk to you guys soon. Have a nice evening.